The South African Human Rights Commission will monitor the distribution of humanitarian relief resources in KwaZulu-Natal amid calls for funds to be allocated to NGOs for distribution in order to avoid corruption. For more on this, we're joined by Advocate Tseliso Thipanyane, CEO of the Human Rights Commission. Advocate, always good to have you on Newzroom Afrika. So, over a week since that devastating storm in KwaZulu-Natal, any rights observations that you've made so far?
Well, the whole episode constitutes a human rights violation in the sense that people don't have houses, children can't go to school. So what we as the Human Rights Commission with other chapter institutions are doing is to monitor and to ensure that, the government is taking necessary measures to address these human rights challenges which have been brought by the floods.
And how are you going about doing that work, especially now that we're beginning to get a clearer sense, yes, not the full picture, but a clearer sense of just the extent of loss and damage?
Well, as a commission, we will be monitoring what is being done to address the challenges, but we're also working together with other Chapter 9 bodies. We'll be meeting today at 4 o'clock basically to see how best we can work together in addressing the problems through our different mandates. One, to ensure that, no monies are being abused, but secondly, that the rights of vulnerable people are being protected and promoted by government.
And resource-wise, Advocate, what would you practically need to have in order to be able to fully be on top of the situation? Because as things stand, thousands of people are affected, and this covers a vast area of KwaZulu-Natal.
Well, this will require billions of rands by the state, which we don't have. But our work as constitutional bodies is to ensure that, government, which has all the resources, is acting accordingly and properly. So our mandate is to make sure that, government does play its part and will therefore, come in if we feel that things are not happening properly. That's really our mandate. So we cannot be providing relief on the ground or many bodies on the ground, but our mandate is to monitor and ensure that government does what it's supposed to be doing.
And as the Human Rights Commission, I wonder if you've got or have taken a view at this stage on allegations that a water tanker was now redirected to the home of the Premier Tseliso to feed water there. There are also allegations, possibly, we've not confirmed or verified this ourselves, of some officials who were meant to help with the distribution, then taking advantage of the situation for their own benefit.
We are noting those developments and will follow them up. We're engaging with the Premier and all other relevant officials. We're actually having a meeting at 2 o'clock today in Durban with all relevant stakeholders, including NGOs, just to hear what are concerned. So the Commission will continue to receive any complaints of human rights violations arising out of this episode, and then we'll deal with them accordingly. And therefore, we're really appealing to all public servants to act within the prescripts of the law and protect human rights.
Mm-hmm. What about the skepticism among South Africans about government's ability to run this relief program in the cleanest way? And by clean, I mean free of corruption, free of abuse of funds, free of self-benefit. That, I was saying to a guest earlier in the week, speaks to a breakdown in the trust relationship between government and its citizens. Can it be repaired?
It is a concern, and it has to be prepared. It has to be repaired. That's why the AG and Public Protector will also be coming on board to ensure that, there is no abuse of power or abuse of resources. And we'll deal with all these issues as a collective. And that's why we're meeting the CEOs of Chapter 9 institutions at 4 o'clock today to come up with strategies as to how we must deal with all these issues in all manifestations.
Final question to you, Advocate. Some environmentalists have said that government needs to bear some level of responsibility. Yes, government did not cause the flood, but they say South Africa has not been fully proactive in terms of the general response to global warming and the challenges and the effects thereof in recent years, and therefore should then be held accountable. Last week we had a guest on the program who was saying, in fact, their organization is considering laying charges, holding government responsible for the loss of life. What is your take?
It's definitely a concern because, from where we stand, some of the damage could actually have been remedied if we've taken necessary measures in terms of spatial planning and how we ensure that, the issues of the flood gates and the flash channels are not blocked. But certainly the issue of climate change, it is a concern, and that's why the Human Rights Commission basically is considering having urgent engagement on climate change and human rights. Because, this phenomena highlights that we have serious problems of climate change and global warming in our country and the continent.
Thank you very much, Advocate Tseliso Thipanyane from the Human Rights Commission of South Africa.